Dead by Daylight is known for its chaotic bugs. Look at this! What is this? Hey, we got it! With the Realm Beyond update, DbD started gravitating more towards polish and beauty, rebuilding their maps from the ground up to squash bugs and prioritize realism. But I'm starting to wonder if that's becoming a problem.
Where you'd be sitting in a design review and somebody say, that's not realistic. And you're like, okay. Explain to me why that's interesting, because in the real world, I have to write up lists of stuff I have to go to the grocery store to buy. And I have never thought to myself that realism is fun. I go play games to have fun. And so we had to come up with some notion of what fun was. The degrees to which the game recognizes and responded to the player's choices and actions. That was a useful way of making design decisions. Otherwise, it loses any sort of impact.
Dark horror aesthetic for bright, vibrant maps. Sparse, tall trees for netted woodlands. The sacrifice of gameplay experience. Oh, it is to the left. Oh, we still hit that. For realism.
Why is there a fishing net to make it so that I can't snipe this guy on the generator here?
Is this making the game less fun?
Would you rather have your game look like shit and be fun? Or would you rather have your game look good and be boring? Shit, but fun. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Nicolas Cage was the most fun survivor behavior ever released because they knew exactly what their community wanted. So what if behavior could replicate this? By systematically reintroducing non-broken chaotic mechanics, the community found fun for the sake of player happiness. 1. Old survivor movement. Allowed survivors to move snappily. In comparison, new movement is extremely smooth. Animations seamlessly blend together, while movement turning speed remains constant. Old survivor movement allowed for snappy fluctuations, responsive to the precise precision of the player's camera. If you wanted 360 really fast, you could just turn really fast. If you wanted to quickly change directions, you could just quickly change directions. This responsiveness to player input is what made old movement so addicting and satisfying. 2. Space Billy. Allowed Billies to fly into the air and steer any direction they wanted, allowing him to land on structures he otherwise couldn't. This, combined with his chainsaw, led to some of the craziest plays the DbD community had ever seen.
Honestly, with the music, this actually makes this look so much more better, though. Like I always say, plays like those are so sick.
Although breaking the physics engine completely, people liked facing it. It was a rare sight to see a Billy take flight into the sky and do something novel, something different, a sense of variety that didn't completely break the balance of the match. This was a mechanic veteran players found fun. 3. Infinite Flashbangs. At the current moment, flashbangs are restricted to holding one at a time. When this bug first appeared in game, people were already asking questions. Why isn't this in the game already? Multiple flashbangs increased the layer of depth to outplaying killers with multiple blinds in one chase. When it comes to keeping things novel and adding a sense of variety, I believe veteran players would surely appreciate something like this. 4. A pig buff. Pig used to be able to dash on top of Swamp's jungle gyms, allowing players to add an extra layer of depth to Pig's ability.
Alright, someone clip that.
Although I'm not a pig main, I believe the addition of these invisible walls significantly reduces the skill ceiling for pigs in general. And maybe, instead of saying Pig got nerfed, we can finally say Pig got buffed. There's probably a couple more spots out there, it's just, I really don't know them. If I find any, I'll put them here.
He works at behavior. His nan, right? Oh my god, I get just unlucky, bud.
5. Removal of invisible walls. These were added to the game to prevent killers and survivors from breaking out of the map. But for the community, this also removed an extra layer of depth to killer movement and gameplay, such as launching yourself great distances from a high tower with Demogorgon, Blight, or Hillbilly. And this is a tweet in regards to the additions of this mechanic. Another case of behavior adding invisible walls. Aren't games supposed to be like, I don't know, fun? These were likely added to prevent survivors from reaching impossible to reach locations with Dead Hard. But since Dead Hard no longer gives distance upon use, I could see these walls getting removed to add more of a sense of variety and depth within killer chases, further increasing what is possible within the confines of a typical normal Dead by Daylight match. Variety, something fresh, something new. Yeah? Yeah. 6. Holding killers with lockers is a fairly new tech.
Get out of here. No way! There's actually no way that works.
Allowing survivors to push killers by simply jumping out of a locker. When combined with certain environmental features such as Grim Pantry Hole,
No way! We did it!
this opens up a brand new form of play for survivors to hole killers. A tech survivors have been doing ever since the game's release. And I'm not really sure if this one's been removed yet, but I could see something like this simply being in the game as a fun, niche mechanic that when you can get a play off with it, it's like, oh my god, we did it. Wow, that's insane. Even if this is removed, and I'm sorry for putting a spotlight on it, it's sick. I could see this being added as a silly little survivor perk, like those added with the release of Nicolas Cage. 7. The Badham Jump tech allowed killers to swing over Preschool's gap by quickly flicking their mouse from right to left. Since then, behavior seems to have made the terrain around this hole more difficult to jump over, restricting the utilization of this tech during a chase. Back when Dead Hard granted survivors distance, survivors could also traverse this gap. And I can only presume this tech was removed in the name of keeping things fair and balanced. And I have to admit, it does kind of suck not being able to do this anymore. But who knows, maybe it's just a skill issue on my part and I just need to get good. 8. Old Huntress needle threads have been removed in almost all of DbD's Beyond Realms, from Snipes on Coldwind Farm, Autohaven,
Please.
and Macmillan Estate. This one is very personal to me. As a Huntress main, holes add more versatility for making Huntress trick shots. Every single one of these shots were actually removed from the game, and it was impossible to make them. But now, watching this back, it seems like behavior has cleaned up a lot of the hitboxes, made it so that you can actually throw needle threads through different holes, adding more variety actually. You know what? I have to give kudos to behavior with this one. So my only grievance here is the crazy branches on the trees are insanely sucky when it comes to trying to hit cross-map snipes on survivors. That's my only real grievance for this particular one. 9. The fake flashlight vault. This is arguably the most game-breaking bug on this list. By pre-clicking a flashlight whilst running up to a window, you can audibly vault a window without ever having to actually vault. A perfectly timed flashlight click and you'd completely bamboozle an unsuspecting killer. This gave survivors tools to trick killers who were chasing them, almost like how killers use red stain manipulation to catch a survivor off guard through information denial. Similar to the locker hole tech, I could also see this being added as a silly little perk survivors could use to deceptively outplay killers. 10. Climbing on rocks is one of the reasons players loved playing certain maps. By allowing killers and survivors to climb terrain, this enables both killers and survivors to change the fundamentals of looping. When far from a pallet, this terrain glitch allows players to skillfully traverse dead zones and outplay their pursuers. But I could see this one being slightly problematic, as new players may not know how to traverse unorthodox terrain. But I felt that this was worthy to highlight because when this was in the game, I actually had a lot of fun with it. I intentionally tried picking out bugs I thought could potentially enhance core gameplay experience without completely breaking the game. By sacrificing beauty for a bit of chaotic jankiness, I believe it's possible to introduce a sense of novelty, complexity, and skill to the already established gameplay mechanics. And I actually wonder if a couple of these would actually make the game a lot more fun. But these are just my suggestions. And I wonder if there are any other crazy gameplay mechanics you guys think would be better. Maybe there's something I missed. I don't know.